Hey, podcats! Joe Sherville here, out for a walk in the London countryside on a crisp December evening. I've taken Chrissy for a walk, and he's running through the bushes, chasing grouse, or butterflies, or maybe a Christmas turkey. Here he comes now. All right, Chrissy?
Hi, nice to be here.
What have you asked Father Christmas for, Chris?
Some socks and some DVDs.
What DVDs do you want?
Federico Fellini's box set.
An Italian? Which of his films do you like best?
I quite like Casanova. Everyone else likes Dolce Vita, but Casanova has better set design.
Okay. Well, have a good Christmas. There he goes. Silly old thing. Anyway, let me tell you about this week's podcast, the second Christmas special of 2018. We recorded this episode in December of this year, 2018, at Chris's home in London. The movie we talked about was Home Alone 4, Taking Back the House. Listeners to the podcast may remember Home Alone from earlier episodes. In fact, one of the earliest podcasts, way back in 2015, was Home Alone 1. Home Alone 4 made for very interesting conversation. We talked about recasting in movies and whether it's ever necessary, poor costuming decisions which ruined films, and I was able to ask an important question that I often get asked myself, which is, how would you survive if you were in this movie? So I'll be back at the end for more rambly chat, but for now, Home Alone 4. Here we go!
Survival chat, it's a survival chat. We'll talk about the film and going through all that, cause things get rather bad, and you'll be rather glad that you have successfully survived this week's horror fad.
Hello and welcome to How to Survive, episode Christmas 2018 part 2.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm full of...
Who are you?
My name's Chris.
Yeah.
I'm full of the joys of Christmas.
Yeah.
Did you have a good Christmas day?
Yeah. I had a tofurkey.
Yeah. How was that?
Better than the real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cruelty-free?
Cruelty-free.
Unlike this week's film.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. This week's movie's Home Alone 4, the 2002 Rod Daniel classic.
Yeah, don't forget it's the second part of its title, Joe, is of course, to give it its full name, it's
Right, yeah.
Home Alone 4, Taking Back the House. It's very much one of those, franchise films where it goes back to the origin.
The thing is, like, when you generally have a phrase like that, you have something like, there goes the neighbourhood, or, a tale of two kitties when you look after.
Right, yeah,
there's a phrase there, but taking back the house isn't a phrase.
No. Well, it is. It's an American political phrase, isn't it?
Oh, the White House.
Yeah, well, no, the House of Representatives,
Right.
I presume.
Right. Yeah, fair point. But that has nothing... I mean, I didn't know that. And
it's got no relevance.
No, that's the thing. If he was like, Kevin's moved to the White House...
Yeah, or Marv is running for Congress.
That would be a better film. Significantly better.
Yes. Well, let's not jump too far ahead.
Right.
Because if you haven't seen Home Alone 4, Taking Back the House...
You might assume that it's about a political campaign gone wrong.
Yeah, you've had 16 years in which to watch it.
Yeah.
It stars Kevin McAllister. Definitely is him.
Yeah.
And Marv, beloved Marv.
Yeah. Who played Kevin's dad in Home Alone 1 and 2?
I don't know.
He's in The Sopranos, isn't he?
As what?
He's the in the first season. He's like the PI who.
Oh,
he's like
throws himself off the bridge.
Yeah, he's like the bent cop who's like selling all the stories to Tony.
Yes. He's not back for this one.
No, he threw himself off the bridge, didn't he?
Yeah, that's true.
So, Home Alone 4, right? With the How to Survive podcast, if you haven't listened before, it's a very odd time for you to start, but perhaps Christmas was taxing for you and now you're recovering. If you haven't heard it before, we generally talk about movies, how we would survive in them if we were unfortunate enough to find ourselves in them.
Yeah.
Usually horror movies, on this occasion, the real horror was watching the movie.
Yeah.
We will talk about that. We'll talk about like the film from the film theory perspective.
Mm-hmm.
We're film critics as well as film survivalists.
Yeah.
That part of the chat will probably be quite brief because this can be summed up in one word.
Yeah.
And that word is not good.
2.5 out of 10 on IMDb.
What's the Rotten Tomatoes score?
I don't know. Would they have bothered? But we did, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the Rotten Tomatoes just haven't bothered.
Yeah.
It's not even a listing.
I hope so.
All right. We'll recap the plot of the movie in case. I mean, people watch it every year. It's a Christmas classic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You watch this. It's a Wonderful Life. You watch Die Hard, and then you watch Home Alone 4 every year. The whole family. And that recap's coming up after this.
New on DVD and video, Home Alone, Taking Back the House.
Here they come. Hello, Marv.
Kevin's back.
Kevin?
In the biggest adventure of the year.
Awesome.
The house is bigger. The gadgets are slicker.
Door open.
Kevin's in charge, and the bad guys haven't learned a thing.
Hi, Mommy.
It's like he's stalking me.
Home Alone, Taking Back the House, today on DVD and video.
Home Alone 4 then, Chris, Taking Back the House.
Yeah.
When did you watch it? A few days ago?
Yeah, about 6 days ago.
Remember it well?
I mean, yeah.
Quite forgettable.
I remember the feeling I had watching it.
Well, just increasing confusion.
Yeah,
and dread.
and just sort of...
irritation?
Yeah. Disbelief.
Yeah.
And a sort of general feeling of malaise.
Yeah.
And just sort of frustration at myself for ever having started this venture.
Putting yourself in a position where it could come up.
Yeah. Yes.
Did you watch it alone?
I did, yeah.
It's for the best.
I was home alone.
Yeah, there we are.
Yeah. It's an experiential watch.
Yeah, you took back the house. Right, anyway, the film is this, right? It's unclear how much time has elapsed since the events of Home Alone 2.
Yeah, aside from the fact that Kevin appears younger.
Yeah.
And...
but they're obviously in 2002.
Yeah.
10 years on.
Yeah, sorry. I don't want to disrupt your flow.
No. But that's the thing, right?
How many years has it been since Home Alone 2 at this point? It was
10 years on.
What? So Home Alone 2 is 92?
I'm pretty sure.
Right.
I mean, if it's 94 or something, it's been the thick end of a decade.
Best part of a decade, yeah. So by rights, Kevin should be in his teens. Like late teens.
Yeah. If not 20s.
Right.
And he's not. The world has progressed, but him and his brother and sister have both reversed in age.
Yeah.
Anyway, his parents are getting divorced. And his siblings have reversed in age, as I just said.
Mm-hmm.
At Christmas, Kevin's father, Peter, invites his children to spend Christmas with him and his new fiancée, Natalie. After a row with his family, Kevin abandons them and takes a cab to Natalie's house, which is a presumably former like cotton plantation or something. It's
opulent, to say the least, isn't it?
Kitted out with voice control on all appliances, doors, windows, and inanimate objects, which is obviously going to make for hysterical fun later on.
Yep.
The household is managed by housekeeper Molly and butler Mr. Prescott. The former is very nice, and the latter is very mean, although he does make Kevin a milkshake.
Yes, but sort of under duress.
Yeah. Taking orders from a child.
Yeah, it is clearly is distasteful for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Despite having a room kitted out with a video game system with 12 screens, Kevin spends his time wandering around the house, making a nuisance of himself. Natalie is preoccupied by planning an impending visit from a royal family, and Kevin is excited to meet the prince because he's a grovelling bootlicker who loves sucking up to inherited power.
Yeah. It's odd that they have that as a thing that a child would think is cool.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know of any children, or I don't remember being a child and ever thinking that, oh yeah, royal family.
It would work if, like, I don't know, this is being somewhat stereotypical, but if Kevin was a girl and it's like, oh, you get to meet the prince.
Right, like a Game of Thrones type thing.
More like a fairy tale.
Yeah, but as in like
Sansa. She wants to meet Joffrey, and
exactly.
Joffrey's like, that would be the best. We should have just watched Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and just called it Home Alone 4.
Yeah. Natalie and Peter leave the house, and with that, two burglars invade, looking to stake out the building because they want to kidnap the prince and hold him for ransom.
Yeah, and you recognise them immediately, obviously.
Yeah. The burglars are Marv
Yeah.
from the previous films and his new wife, Vera,
Yeah.
previously unseen.
Now, when you say Marv from the previous film,
We'll come to that.
Okay.
After an altercation, I mean, he's obviously Marv. What are you on about? She calls him Marv, and at that point, you're like, yeah,
Oh yeah.
I recognise him.
Yeah. What's his name? Rob Schneider, isn't it? In the previous ones.
No, it's not Rob Schneider.
Who's it? I forget. Daniel.
You've gone from Rob Schneider to Daniel. You might land on it eventually. Daniel Stern.
Daniel Stern.
It's not Daniel Stern, is it?
No, not in the traditional sense.
After an altercation, Kevin overwhelms the two burglars, nearly drowning them in the bath. In the furore, the house becomes flooded and the burglars escape. Natalie returns home and has an anxiety attack, and despite Kevin's protestations that there were burglars, nobody believes him. Mr. Prescott was in the toilet for the duration of the event, and Molly had left the building. On later inspection, Kevin finds that security cameras were turned off and suspects Mr. Prescott of being in cahoots with the burglars. This is confirmed a little later when, preparing for a gigantic party to welcome the royal family, Mr. Prescott let the two burglars enter the house dressed as waiters, telling them that he'll take care of Kevin. Kevin locks Mr. Prescott in the freezer and then attacks the burglars, ejecting them from the party but destroying the entire party in the process. Fortunately, the royal family hadn't arrived, but Mr. Prescott was released from suspended animation, having been frozen into an ice sculpture and placed on the dining room table.
Yeah.
Peter and Natalie have lost their patience with Kevin, but the whole McAllister family separately watch It's a Wonderful Life and privately decide that they're better off together. And what I liked about this part is that Kevin and his mum phone each other when they're watching the final scene of It's a Wonderful Life.
Mm-hmm.
And then it cuts to his father in an adjacent room, also watching It's a Wonderful Life, but earlier in the film. So he has to say like, oh no, the TV station's running it all night on repeat. And you're like, that's not something TV stations do, because that's not a good idea.
I actually, in America, I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
Or just because it's
Yeah,
easy.
because they just have a million TV channels. So they're
There's
just
probably an It's a Wonderful Life channel.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Christmas movie mix or whatever.
Right. Not a very good mix.
Well, yeah.
The next day, Natalie and Peter go to pick up the royal family from the airport. The burglars strike again, and Kevin confronts them, accusing Mr. Prescott officially of being involved. The real accomplice is revealed to be the housekeeper, Molly, who is Marv's mother.
Yeah.
And Kevin and Mr. Prescott are locked in the wine cellar. While alone together, Kevin convinces Mr. Prescott that his life is void of meaning and he needs to find something to do.
Yeah.
Kevin,
Well, Mr. Prescott tells him that he was going to quit.
Yeah.
Or he'd considered
quit.
he wants to quit, yeah. And Kevin's like, oh, well, you should go and live your life, man.
It's good. It's a good case of like an 8-year-old giving life advice to a 60-year-old man.
Yeah.
Kevin escapes from the wine cellar and horrifically injures the three criminals. Peter leaves the welcome party that's going to pick up the royal family and gets a cab back to the house, sure that something has happened to Kevin. He just has a feeling. You know those feelings you get.
Yeah, like a father-son in danger feeling.
Is that a thing?
I don't know, mate. I don't
Probably
think so.
not. I think he got OCD.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, I think something's happened. I need to get a cab and go back and check the ovens off.
You know full well that it's just a family movie trope.
Right. What do you mean? What's a trope? Kevin's mother also heads to the house under similar circumstances.
Yeah.
The family are reunited, and as the criminals are led away, Peter renounces his engagement to Natalie. And as she has another anxiety attack, Mr. Prescott resigns from his job, and the royal family announce that they'll be spending Christmas at the McAllisters. Natalie's home is in ruins, her relationship has been destroyed, her staff have all left her service, and the only thing that she's been looking forward to for many months has been ruined. Kevin uses a voice control remote to control the weather, and the movie ends. How was that for you? Home Alone 4, taking back the house?
I mean, it's not good, is it?
Here's what's wrong with it. Right?
Okay.
The casting, the script, the plot, the set design, the costuming, the editing, and the dubbing.
Okay. What did you like about it?
There was one part that I quite liked, and I remember having a little chuckle when it's revealed that the housekeeper is Marv's mum.
Right.
You're like, oh, that's quite funny.
A clever twist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about all it has going for it. It's just every part of it. You're like, what? Do you know when you remember we watched It Follows, episode 2 of the How to Survive podcast?
Yeah.
And you used the phrase interrogating the screen. Right. That when anything's happening on screen, you're interrogating the screen, thinking, when's the monster going to show up?
Right.
I felt like I was interrogating the screen here just to make sense of what I was seeing.
Yeah.
Just like every single thing in it is like, it doesn't make a blind bit of sense.
Yeah. You know, when every so often you'll see those articles where it's like, which I never quite believe, but they're always something like, I fed 1,000 romance novels into this content creation algorithm and it came up with 3 pages and they're just so funny. This is like they used an algorithm to make a new Home Alone film.
That's right.
And then it was shot by real estate agents in like a vacant home. And it's bizarre.
Yeah.
It really is bizarre. A bizarre experience watching it.
Do you like, why you say real estate agents, but you mean that you don't mean like a video agency that a real estate agent company would hire. You mean literally real estate agents.
Yeah, I mean the absolute sort of filthy, opulent display of wealth that is apparent throughout by Natalie, who apparently lives alone but with 2 servants.
Well, how does she get her money?
Well, it's never explained. She's like a socialite or something, it appears.
Yeah.
But I presume it's inherited wealth because she doesn't appear to have a job other than sort of party planning, but all the parties are ones that she's throwing herself. So it's confusing. And there's lots of references to like, oh, it's the best party of the year or whatever when they're in a limo coming home.
Yeah.
But
and she's like, oh, we raised $2 million for children's charities tonight.
Yeah.
So weird.
It's like when Kevin is staying in the hotel with his dad's credit card, but this is just stuff that she owns.
Yeah.
And there's no punchline of like his dad finding out and being horrified about how much money he's been spending. So
this is just her life.
Yeah,
she lives like Kevin in New York.
Right, exactly. Right. And it's obviously the weirdest part of the film is this sort of blanket facial reconstructive surgery that every person in the film has gone through.
So do you know what Home Alone had that was really good?
Go on.
Macaulay Culkin, Daniel Stern, Joe Pesci, Catherine O'Hara, John Hurd, like the old guy who lived over the road and was in like 2 scenes.
Yeah.
Donald Trump was in it. a president was in it. Buzz, do you remember him? How he had like really good lines, but like, I wouldn't share a room with you if you were growing on my ass. And that's a really funny line.
Yeah. Good scripting, etc.
Good timing, good pacing.
Mm-hmm.
Home Alone 2 had less of that. Home Alone 3 had none of that.
Mm-hmm.
Home Alone 4 has been made by aliens.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you compare it to Home Alone 3 because I noticed that they tried to ape the first 2 films' introductions, which is something that we noted watching the previous films where, you're in the house as everyone's rushing around trying to get ready and running about and stuff. And it introduces you to the whole family. And it's interesting that they went for the rushing around getting ready scene rather than the here's a mission being undertaken by a group of North Korean hired mercenaries scene.
15 minutes.
Home Alone 3 starts with.
It's so weird.
Yeah, which is truly bizarre. But as you were alluding to with the cast, it's just so weird seeing everyone recast to the extent that you just think, why bother?
Yeah, right. That's exactly right.
It's so obvious that it's the actors in the roles that made the originals so popular.
Yeah.
Like no one is desperate for an update to the McAllister mythology. Do you know what I mean? Like no one's going, oh, I must know what the McAllister family are doing.
It's not like
Dumbledore in Harry Potter.
Exactly. Or like James Bond.
Right.
Like if you had James Bond and he was called like
Yeah.
Frank Smith.
But one of the strangest decisions that I just can't get my head around at all is why dress Marv like Harry? right? Because
Just put him in a wig.
right,
Put him in a wig.
Right. So for anyone who doesn't remember, Marv is the one who has like the sort of bouffant, curly hair, and Harry
he's tall.
is Joe Pesci, who's short and wears a
Like a beanie.
a beanie hat,
Yeah.
and speaks in a sort of aggressive way, right?
Yeah.
And it's like they took every characteristic of Harry and just called him Marv. It's so bizarre because he's suddenly like the same height as his wife.
Yeah.
So he's not
Which is
sort of
like-
rakishly tall, which he was in the previous films.
But Harry would be. Harry is short.
No, but that's what I mean. Yeah. But
Everything is Harry except for...
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like he's Marv. They've called him Marv, but he's now short.
Yeah.
He speaks in a sort of more aggressive Joe Pesci voice, and wears Joe Pesci's, iconic beanie hat.
Yeah.
It's so odd.
But it's the whole gag is like, oh, he's finally out from under the control of Harry.
Yeah,
But he needed to be under the control of Harry because he was an idiot.
Yeah.
Harry was like misguided and clumsy. Basically, it's Kevin versus Harry in the first two films, and Marv is just like a
punch bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas they've somehow mistaken that.
It's
fact.
so strange though.
Like Marv doesn't have a personality or the ability to think for himself.
Just call him Harry.
Yeah.
It would make so much more sense.
Do you think it's that they couldn't get the
license
rights?
for that character? It must be something like that. It's so
They
bizarre.
got everyone else in the whole film except Joe Pesci's character.
It is honestly just one of the strangest things, right? I mean,
why not just make a new character? It would be just as good.
Just make them all new characters.
Yeah.
Make them all new characters. Because it compounds all the issues of the sequel, where it's, getting increasingly ridiculous that no one believes him about stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because now it's like, oh, I saw Marv, the burglar.
Yeah.
Marv.
The guy who's probably out to get me.
Specifically,
Yeah.
the specific burglar. I saw him, and the parents are like, "Oh, you're making stuff up again." It's like he's been proven right twice now,
Yeah.
right?
And presumably, like if a kid had been involved in a violent crime with the same person twice, they'd be notified when he was let out of prison and stuff.
You would imagine so. Yeah.
So they're going like, "Oh, the guy who just got out of prison? I just saw him. He came in this house and tried to attack." No,
yeah.
No, he didn't.
And the
no, you just flooded the house for no reason.
The bit where there's something about them leaving Kevin alone, and the mother goes like, "Oh, don't remind me."
Yeah.
And
Can I stay at home alone?
Yeah.
I've done it before, and she says, "Don't remind me."
Don't remind me.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking like, why? If I was a parent and I'd twice left my child
in terrible danger.
Yeah, in terrible danger. I think I'd be crushed by guilt for the rest of my life.
Like, don't remind me is like, oh, that went wrong last time we tried it.
Bursting into tears. Yeah, like it should be.
Please don't remind me.
Yeah. It's truly one of the weirdest films I've ever seen.
Yeah. What do you think of the script?
It's rubbish.
So do you know the part that I was just like trying to crawl out of my, when like a trapped animal is trying to claw through the wall? I was like that,
biting off its own leg.
Yeah,
or whatever.
right. So he says, "Open sesame."
Yeah.
And then he says,
"Close sesame."
"Spin bar sesame."
Oh right,
It's
yes.
faster sesame.
Yeah, it's the
it's
the spinning
it's
secret
a bookcase
door
that hides a minibar.
Right.
And when it spins, you can get trapped in the wall.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to say "open sesame" and "close sesame," which is fine. Open sesame is fine. It makes sense as a statement.
Close sesame, just about get away with it.
Yeah.
If you were programming a machine.
Spin bar sesame and maximum speed sesame.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
Those are not functions that you would build into a mechanism to open a mini bar.
They're not voice controls either. Like, you know what I mean? They're not commands.
What do you have on a bar?
Booze.
And what is the booze in?
Bottles.
Yeah.
They
what are the bottles made out of?
Glued down, mate. They're glued down.
The last thing you want is a maximum speed function on a shelf of what is a moving shelf
books
of
and bottles.
Glass. Yeah.
What do you think of the choice to have the camera operator in shot?
When?
Just repeatedly. Fingers over the lens, shadows.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, are you saying it's not very well made, this film?
There's one really good part where the camera sort of like dollies in. I think it was when the family knocked the door to go and visit Natalie and bring Kevin his toys, and the camera, it's meant to be like a zoom in as Natalie opens the door, but you see all three family members like duck out of the way of the camera, like they fully turn away.
Nice.
Rather than just like getting down, it's like they turn and walk away, and you're like, is that the best you could do?
That was the best take.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
That's made. They've not a lot left to say about it. It's a fucking disgrace.
Well, I mean, one thing that might explain Marv's appearance is that he actually has had major reconstructive surgery. Because if you remember, the last time we saw him,
he was badly burned.
Yeah, he was burned so badly that he was turned into a skeleton. Let's not forget.
He was electrocuted.
Yeah, electrocuted. Yeah.
Turned into a skeleton.
Yeah, so I don't know what the treatment for that long term might have had some effect on his appearance.
Right, yeah.
But as is tradition,
the only treatment for this is recasting.
Well, as is tradition, the film features a number of injuries sustained by the burglars, and I'm gonna go through them as I always do, with a fine tooth comb. Just looking what sort of damage they'd be looking at and whether or not it would be fatal.
Yeah.
So the first real incident is the dry drowning. When he sprays them with, huge quantities of water.
Right, breaks the tap off, right, and then you get sprayed in the face.
It's the giant jet shower thing.
Really functional stuff.
Yeah, which is
if that should hit you in the balls, you'd die.
Yeah, it's one of those showers that. In fact, I used to live in a flat which had one, where it like
sprays you in the body.
Yeah,
right?
It's like a flat panel of shower heads that is parallel to your torso and sprays really vicious water at you. Which is why I never used it.
It's not as strong as it is in the movie, though.
No,
it doesn't knock you over.
It's not
and
like a
send you across
fire
the room.
hose, yeah. Because that's what happens to them. They get knocked across the room and then sort of they're in a torrent of water, which is sort of flowing around them.
Imagine giving an 8-year-old an ensuite bedroom. For a start, with like a bath that's deeper than him, and also a shower that's so powerful it could like knock a grown man over.
Or flood an entire mansion
with
like 6 inches of water as well. So it's sort of like sprayed with large quantities of water. They're probably fine. Maybe some minor respiratory problems if water gets in their lungs. Very unlikely to be fatal or anything like that. Just after that, they get thrown by the torrent of water down the main staircase.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Which could be more significant. It could be looking at bruising or broken bones. Could be fatal if they had a bad fall, but they're right back up to their feet. So it seems unlikely that they've sustained any kinds of severe injuries. After that, they go away, and then when they come back as waiters, they're rehearsing their kidnapping plot, which involves bagging up Vera and lowering her from an upstairs window. Yeah. But then he gets interrupted halfway through, drops Vera, so she falls to the ground.
Well, he gets interrupted because he gets a grappling hook up the bum.
Yeah.
Are you getting to that?
No. Well, that is part and parcel of this section because it is an injury sustained by him.
Yeah.
One of multiple sharp objects that he suffers to the groin area.
Do you remember in Home Alone 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Joe Pesci or Marv, one of them, tries to open the door.
Yeah.
But Kevin's heated the doorknob
to like 9,000 degrees. Yeah.
What everyone does when they enter a home is open the door.
Yeah.
What nobody does ever in the whole history of humanity is test out the strength of a rope by putting your wife in a bag and lowering her down.
Yeah. Vera falls and she's sort of bunched up in a curled up position.
Contorted.
Yeah. So she's probably going to have some injuries from the fall and from her positioning. Could easily be fatal if she was, landed on her head or her head. Yeah. Marv, as you mentioned, gets a grappling hook up the bum. We say it's a small grappling hook. It's not, it's not going to be a significant.
Well, it's big. It's not just a fish hook. It's like if that got in there and into the anus, for example. I'm just like
grappling hook up Marv's anus.
Well, just like one hook, just like shredded a couple of inches, say, of his butt cheeks or his anal.
It's probably gonna cause some contusions.
Well, the problem with an anal injury is, you poo through there, so it's always going to be infected. So you have to have like, I read a thing about a guy who did a firework up his bum.
A guy.
Yeah.
Some guy. A friend of mine.
A friend of a friend. You wouldn't know him. He put a firework up his bum.
Yeah.
And because you poo out that hole, it means months of being in hospital and pooing like upwards, and they have to like sterilize your ass every time you poo, and it just takes months to heal.
Nice. Good.
Just think about that.
Yeah, I will. Marv's landing is cushioned by Vera when he falls out of the window. But he stands up and then collapses immediately, which is a telltale sign of concussion.
Yeah. I thought it was because he looked down and saw the hook in his ass still.
I think I got the impression it was more like he
just like
he stood up too quickly.
Weary,
yeah. He should see a doctor immediately to rule out any sort of traumatic brain injury because obviously that could be fatal.
Yeah, I did notice. I thought concussion for sure when they were being blown down the stairs by the water.
Yeah,
because it was bang, bang, bang on every step.
Yeah, well, they're going to pile up. Let me tell you.
Right.
Next injury of significance was the saucepans of boiling liquid that land on their heads. You're looking at 3rd-degree burns, possible infections as a result of hot food, hot liquid food in any sort of burns.
It's horrible, isn't it?
Disfigurement.
I mean, they used that in like siege tactics in medieval times.
Yeah, like burning tar or boiling water or whatever, yeah. It's probably not fatal, provided they get appropriate medical attention and they get the pans off their heads quickly
enough, yeah.
So, Next is Marv gets his head trapped in a dumbwaiter. It's sort of pinned between the edge of the lift and the dumbwaiter.
Yeah. And she's hammering the button to make it go faster.
Yeah, and it's sort of repeated blows to the head. He also gets his hand trapped in the same way. Probably looking at some broken fingers and some lacerations or bruising to the hand. And in terms of the head, could be looking at severe case of fractured orbital bones, skull fracture. Again, concussion, surely, from repeated blows to the head.
Bit of whiplash, I thought, because it hits the back of the head quite hard.
Could easily be fatal, again, especially combined with the previous blows to the head and the face. And it's followed up immediately with 2 heavy saucepans that are swung on a what do you call it? Like a
pendulum.
To impact them in the face. They're hollow, so it'll be a sort of blunt impact and not as heavy as it could be.
Well, if I recall, he's sort of leaning backwards with an open mouth, and it looks like it hits him pretty square in the mouth.
Right.
That's probably some teeth lost.
Yeah, possibly. Broken nose, facial bones. But now we're entering the realm of repeated significant blows to the head. So... I mean, that's followed up pretty soon after with a chest of drawers which is toppled onto his head, which renders him unconscious.
Right.
And once again, it could be a possible traumatic brain injury for Marv.
In many ways, being unconscious is the safest place for him.
Yes, yeah. Again, could easily be fatal due to the repeated impact. Shortly after that, Vera slaps him in the face.
Unnecessary, I thought.
It's probably a bruised ego more than anything.
Yeah.
Although, given his repeated blows to the head, imagine if she just slapped him and his head like fell to pieces. Following that, Kevin flies a drone into his groin.
Yeah.
Into Marv's groin. Lot of drone incidents in the news at the moment.
Yeah.
Marv's looking at lacerations or bruising to the testicles or genitals, but it's probably likely superficial. Drones tend to not be powerful enough to sort of shred clothing or anything like that.
Well, I would say this is before drones were a thing. It's not called a drone in the movie. It's called a remote-controlled plane, which just doesn't exist.
No. Well, you can get ones that you can control with a remote-controlled car, but a bit fancier.
Really?
You? I think so, yeah.
Planes?
I think so. Like prop planes.
Oh, right. I see what you mean, yeah.
But...
well, it's in flight, so it must be going quite fast.
Yeah, but given how light it would have to be, the propeller's probably made out of a lightweight plastic, which means it's unlikely to be cutting anything unless he's very unlucky. But then again, Marv is pretty unlucky. Then immediately afterwards, he falls down the stairs and in doing so trips Vera, who lands on top of him. And again, they're hitting their head on every step on the way down. Second trip down the stairs for the pair, which is unlikely to do them any good. They're talking about ribs, back injuries. And we're in the region of just compounded injuries at this point. So like anything could kill them. Because Marv's skull must be in 100 pieces by now. And then there's the moment that you alluded to earlier where they're flung from a spinning mini bar, hidden bar thing, into a chandelier. Marv then falls from the chandelier and Vera falls from the chandelier on top of him. Marv is once again concussed. That's his third
major
obvious concussion, not including his when he was unconscious as well. Which is surely indicative of a traumatic brain injury. Needs to see a specialist immediately.
Bear in mind, this is like the third year running that he's had a whole day of traumatic brain injuries.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, let's not forget in Home Alone 2 where 2 bricks land on his face that are thrown from a 5-story building or whatever it is. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's already got some sort of metal plates in his skull.
Maybe that helps.
Well, yeah, maybe that's true actually. Yeah. Then while they're on the floor, Marv's mum comes over and threatens Kevin and is then hit over the head by the butler with a saucepan, which knocks her unconscious flat out.
Yeah.
Again, TBI, which may suggest that there's a propensity to suffering concussions that runs in the family, like a genetic predisposition to
resistance to that particular,
or not resistant because they keep falling unconscious at the drop of a hat.
Right.
They should really see a specialist.
You said the drop of a hat.
Drop of a
grown
saucepan
man smashed around the head with a saucepan.
Yeah. They should all go and see a specialist while they're in police custody. I would suggest.
Yeah.
Finally, they both get tripped into a set of bushes by the other McAllister children, which once again is more likely to bruise egos than anything else.
There could be thorns in there.
Thorns, broken wrists, maybe, depending how they land. So, in conclusion, Marv is almost certainly dead from multiple impact injuries to the head and face. Vera is possibly dead from the fall and tumbles down the stairs. And Marv's mum is unlikely to be dead, but people do sometimes die from minor head injuries, so she should really be careful.
And she's quite old.
Yeah.
Relative to her son, anyway.
Yes, certainly. So not a good innings for Marv et al.
No,
as ever.
Is Home Alone 5? Is he back in that?
I don't know. Will we still be around next year to find out?
What do you mean? Like we're going to keep it up?
Yeah,
I think so. Completionism and all that.
Right. Home Alone is the real franchise that we've been covering all this time.
Yeah. All right. With all that said, mate.
Yeah.
What would you do to survive the movies?
Well, I know that Marv is not a master of criminal enterprise, but really the whole thing should be off the second that he gets made by his arch nemesis.
Yeah.
He gets recognised by Kevin.
Yeah. He didn't get recognised by us, but he got recognised by Kevin.
Yes, exactly, yeah. Maybe he just has one of those faces. The scheme should be off straight away.
Right.
You're not going to get away with it because you've got a key witness, unless you're going to get into the business of murdering children, which,
he's tried in the past.
What, to actually murder Kevin?
I think, they had a gun pointed at him and then they got clubbed by...
I don't think they have a gun pointed at him.
They did, mate.
I thought they were just sort of brandishing something that they were going to rough him up with.
I'm fairly sure that
I think a gun is...
Kevin painted a gun, like a water pistol, black, and they thought that it was one of their guns.
Right.
And then he blew bubbles.
Maybe, yeah. You might be right.
I'm sure a gun was involved.
Are you thinking of Home Alone 3, I think? That's when they will have guns.
No, I'm sure they have a gun pointed at Kevin at the end of Home Alone 1 because they have him on a hook and they're like, you can't get away now. And that's when the old man shows up with his shovel.
Well, I mean, we don't know that he's ever actually murdered a child. And it would have been Harry holding the gun probably anyway, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe this is where their paths went off in different directions because Harry was all up for murdering children.
Well, they did take a trip to New York after that. Escaped from prison.
Yeah.
It's amazing that he did all these crimes, escaped from prison to commit more crimes, somehow got released and apparently he met his wife in prison. So how's that
Yeah,
work?
so some sort of like
Well, she must have been a
co-ed prison.
Well, she must have been a prison guard. Or
So you think it's a
nurse
sort
or
of
something.
Joker, Harley Quinn type thing?
That's the only logical thing.
Right. Yeah.
She's staff.
Maybe.
Well, I've only got one idea for how to survive.
Sure.
You only live once, right? Time
Yeah.
is precious.
Mm-hmm.
So why the fuck are you wasting time with a little device that you have to say like, open the door, please, when you just open it yourself? Just open the door. Like your time is not like it doesn't improve your life to have to rely on a remote control that you have to talk into to open your door for you.
Yeah.
There's a reason that doesn't exist because it's just so ridiculous.
Yeah, it is a bit over the top. I'm all for,
Yeah. The best
the
interface.
smart home.
The
in
best
general.
interface is no interface, right? You know, when we got like a car where it opens automatically when you get nearby, but you still have to like put your hand in front of the handle, and there's a little sensor in there, and it checks to see if you've got the key card in your pocket, and then it unlocks the car, right?
Right. Yeah.
But if I had to go like car open door every time, I'd rather just put a key in the lock. To be honest.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's not the best thought through idea.
Not only that, but all this like added technology, the power bill, and the carbon.
I don't think
footprint.
she's worrying about I don't think she's worrying about either of those
Well,
things.
the carbon footprint. Because
Yeah, I know,
about
but that's her own selfishness.
it's how to survive. How humanity
Right.
can survive.
So humanity should survive
Net survival.
by getting rid of all their smart devices.
No, she is basically wasting energy.
Yeah, I agree.
Heating a massive home.
Right,
shouldn't
exactly. Yeah, well, that's a different thing, really. That's not so much I'd imagine most smart devices use up so little energy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But he's got 12 giant screens. In his
that
bedroom.
is absurd. Yeah,
It doesn't
he's
make
got
any
12
sense
TV
either
screens.
because like it would just be like it'd make you feel sick.
Yeah,
because they're
it
all
would.
showing the same thing.
Yeah, no, they're all showing different things. It's all various skateboarding videos.
Is it?
Yeah.
No, I'm sure there's a scene where like the maid talks
there
to
might
him,
be. Yeah, there might be.
and she's on
scene.
every screen.
Right.
So
yeah.
why didn't you have one screen showing that?
It's bizarre.
You don't need 12.
But okay, so save the environment, save the world.
Yeah.
Is
They're old CRT TVs as well.
Yeah.
Because man, the fucking size of that thing's like 60 inches.
Imagine how much that weighs.
I know. To crane it in.
Yeah.
And all the TVs on it. Oh my god, what a rubbish film.
Yep.
Oh, that's that.
That's that.
Christmas is
Merry
ruined.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Happy Boxing Day. Hope you had a lovely time.
Until next week. End podcast Sesame.
Chrissy, we're heading back. I've got my head torch on, just trying to find Chris in the field. There he is. Come on, boy. We're going back now. Come on. Oh, there he is, bouncing over. Anyway, Home Alone 4 there. Really good to talk about that. This film actually reminded me of another film, which I've watched recently on YouTube, which is Incessant Diarrhea Sounds. And I've left a link to that in the description of this episode. There's a plane just going overhead. I think it's a jumbo jet. Off to somewhere warmer than here. Just passing a babbling brook now, with some fish in it. Hello, Mr. Fish.
Hello.
Think you know about being a fish in a river, do you? Well, let's see how much you really know in my Fish in Rivers quiz. Question 1. Are koi carp being coy to be seductive, or are they just shy?
I don't know.
Fine. Swim away, and have a Merry Christmas. Anyway, if you'd like to leave us a 5-star review for this podcast, that would be a Christmas miracle. You can get in touch, which is HowToSurviveShow@gmail.com, or on Twitter, which is @HowToSurvivePod. We'll be back next week with another survival chat, focusing on Spider-Man 2, the Sam Raimi classic from 2004. Have a great Christmas, and a Happy New Year. I love you. Bye!